Hi guys, and welcome to Escape Wheel Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be reviewing the Sugess. I didn't see a model number, so we're just going to call it the Sugess GMT watch. So I purchased this watch secondhand, $180 from a fellow Redditor. So I got a pretty good price on this, pretty good discount from the full retail price, which we'll talk about in just a second. But like always, I will be reviewing it as if I had paid full retail price for it, and you'll get my full and honest review just like you always do. And as always, if by the end of this review you find yourself wanting to pick one of these up, I'll be leaving an affiliate link down below in the video description. That link will take you right to the Sugess official store on AliExpress. You guys don't pay any extra. I get a little bit of a commission from the sale if you guys do use my link, so I really do appreciate it if you do. That helps keep the channel going. This is a very expensive channel to run, and so yeah, any little bit helps. So thank you guys so much for using my affiliate links. So the current retail price for this watch ranges from about $293 US to $362 US, depending on which bezel you choose. And that's before any sales, any taxes, or any coupons. Sugess does participate in the sales, so that's something to keep in mind if you're planning on picking one of these up. This watch is currently available in 4 different configurations, and like I mentioned earlier, they do vary in price quite a bit depending on the bezel you choose, as you can see here. Full black and the black and blue, which you see here, are the cheapest options. The Pepsi colorway is the most expensive, and then the black and green is somewhere in between. Also note that the full black bezel, that's the only one that is a fully loomed bezel insert. Everyone else, they all just use painted numerals. They're not loomed at all. So just something to keep in mind. The watch case, bracelet, and clasp are made of 3/16L stainless steel. It has a sapphire crystal. All models use real ceramic bezel inserts. They have the screw-down crown, screw-down case back, 200 meters of claimed water resistance, and they are powered by the Dang Dong Peacock 3032 automatic office GMT, which we'll discuss a little bit later. So I've been on the hunt for a nice Batman GMT for a while. After having the Chronos Pepsi bezel, I really wanted a higher quality one. I wasn't really willing to settle for something like the Pagani GMT or Tandorio, something like that. I really wanted this, this higher end feel for a Batman, and it's basically between the San Martin, the Chronos, and then the Sugess. So this is the one I ended up wanting after going back and forth for various reasons. So yeah, this one ended up being on the top of the list. I was able to find it for a good price. So yeah, I'm glad I found it for the price I did. It allowed me to check it out, and yeah, I am overall pretty happy with it, but it's not perfect. So I say we get into the full review. Before we do, this is a watch I just kind of threw on for this review because I've been wearing the Batman for the last 4 days or so. So yeah, just wearing this for right now. This is the Pagani design. I forget the model number. I'll leave it at the bottom, but really like it. Go check out the review up in the upper corner. And yeah, pretty cool watch though. All right, let's get to the dimensions. Got a diameter of 40.2, thickness of 12.8, 20 millimeter lug width, a lug to lug of 47.7. A total length of 51.3 millimeters, and sized up for my 7.5-inch wrist with one link removed. It weighs about 141 grams. So it's a pretty typical size for this style of watch. They're all roughly the same, even the the non-GMT version of it. They're all roughly the same. This one I think wears just a little bit better because the lugs, the width here, is just a little bit narrower than the other one. So pretty much all the other ones use a, the Submariner style case. So the lugs are a little bit wider. I actually measured this at 3.1 millimeters at this little area here. Everything else is like 3.6 or 3.8. So it's just a slight difference, but I think it makes a pretty big difference overall. It does wear a little bit smaller than those other watches do, and I'm happy with it. That overall lug to lug with the bracelet and links there, it's a little long at 51.3, but it's really not that bad. Like I don't know. It just doesn't seem as big as it does. I'm not really sure why, but yeah, I think it does wear pretty good. I'm gonna go outside right now and throw it on my wrist for you. And here we are on my 7.5-inch wrist, and as you can see, I mean, it wears great. It wears pretty much exactly like a Submariner style case would wear, but maybe even a little bit better. I feel like the lugs are a little bit narrower, and I don't know, it just seems to wear a little bit better in my opinion. So very happy with how it wears. It's obviously a very like flat case, but it's pretty comfortable. It sits nicely on wrist. The bracelet makes it feel very balanced. Lots and lots of light play off of that polished center link there. I think it looks pretty darn good. Lots of light play off of the bezel insert as well. Yeah, I'm happy with the way this thing wears. I think it looks great. And stepping out in some direct sunlight here, this is kind of where the watch shines, in my opinion, quite literally and figuratively. I just think it looks incredible. It looks really, really good. I've had so many of these style watches, and this one just looks a little bit more special, I'll say. So yeah, very happy with the way this thing looks. You can see it's a little washed out. Could use a little bit more AR coating. It's not quite up to par with, say, my Chronos, but there is AR coating on it, and it does a pretty good job most of the time. I just usually don't have any issues reading this thing, but there are times where it gets a little bit washed out. But yeah, I think it looks really good, though. What do you guys think about that? All right, let's go inside, throw down a couple straps, and we'll get back to this review. And here's something a little bit different. So just so you guys know, this is a Pagani design bracelet. You can see the logo there. So the Pagani design 5-link bracelet from their GMT that fits the watch, and it actually fits pretty good. It's definitely not perfect, and yeah, I think it's probably a good set of spring bars away from being a even better fit. So yeah, it's kind of nice that I can get both of these looks on this watch. And yeah, I think it looks really good. And this 5-link bracelet from Pagani, it's really not a bad bracelet. I wouldn't consider it great. Something from Chronos is a lot better, but it's not a bad bracelet. So yeah, pretty good option. And here we are on a Strapsco black silicone strap, and I think that looks really good. It's very comfortable, lightweight, and I just think it kind of complements this case. I think it looks good. And lastly, here we are on a nylon strap, 2 layers underneath the watch there. I'm not really a fan of how these cases normally wear, but I think because these lugs are just a little bit narrower than the Submariner style case, I think it works better. So yeah, I think that actually looks pretty decent. What do you guys think about that one? All right, let's go back inside and let's get back to this review. All right, so let's talk about the case finishing on this. And the case finishing is excellent. Sugess and Seastern, they're sister companies, but they just do something special with the brushing. I'm not sure what it is, but it looks really high quality. You can see there, you kind of actually have reflections from the bezel on it. So it just has a sheen to it and a luster to it that other brands just don't quite pull off. So yeah, I'm not sure what they're doing, but they need to keep doing it. I think it looks excellent. You have polishing on the sides here. The polishing looks good. I've got no major issues with that. If we really nitpick, it could be a little bit smoother, but I mean, it's really good. Even on wrist, I mean, you just don't notice it on wrist. Same thing with the crown side here. Got a nice signed crown here, which, I mean, it tucks in really nicely into those crown guards. You have polishing on the top of the crown guards there. Nice transitions. Everything is nice and crisp and clean and not overly sharp. Even this bottom edge here, it's not overly sharp or anything. They did use slightly smaller crown guards as well. So again, that just kind of lends to the way this thing wears. It just wears a little bit better than a typical Submariner style case with the wider lugs and the wider crown guards. Yeah, this thing, it's really good. Very happy with it. Flipping over to the case back here, you have a simple sterile case back, no branding or anything. It's got your coin edge type of notches there. I'm not a fan of that. I would just prefer just simple notches. But yeah, it's done nicely. There's no sharp edges or anything like that. Circular brushing on the bottom of the lugs, and everything is nice and tidy and clean, and pretty soft on wrist. It's definitely a very comfortable watch case. I've got no problems with it. All right, so let's talk about the bezel on this thing. So the bezel insert itself, so this is a black and blue ceramic. They sell it in an all black. That all black one is fully lumed. This one is just white paint. All the other colors are also just white paint. But they are all ceramic, which is nice. So yeah, it's nice to have those options there. And I think they did a nice job on it. The engravings aren't as deep as I've seen on some models. That's really my only complaint, and it's such a minor complaint. It's not even a complaint. So yeah, the engraving isn't super deep, but it's nice and crisp. You can see there, nice crisp transition between the two colors. Yeah, I think it looks excellent. I'm very happy with it. One thing I wish they would do on their regular Submariner style watches, they use silver paint in here. So I would like to see them use silver paint in the numerals. I think that just kind of classes up the watches just a little bit. That's really my only complaint about the bezel insert. I don't really care for a loomed bezel insert on a GMT watch. It's not something I really care about. So yeah, I think the bezel itself though, really nice grip there. You can see it's a very low profile bezel. It's circular brushed on the bottom, polished on the top, so you get a lot of bling on it. I think it looks great. The bezel action, it is a 24 click bidirectional. So yeah, it snaps right into place here. It's a very quiet click. You can barely hear it in person. So one thing on this one is that it is a little bit stiff in this area here, and then it kind of goes back to normal everywhere else. Not a huge deal. I don't use these bezels too often. It's not like a timing bezel that I use. So yeah, the fact that the most I do is set it over here for my colleagues in Germany, and that's pretty much it. I just set it and forget it. But yeah, so it is a bidirectional, which is nice, and it's 24 clicks, so that's even better. All right, so let's talk about the crystal on this thing. So first things first, we will test it for sapphire. And it is a sapphire crystal. Test the Cyclops here. Cyclops is also sapphire, so that's nice to see. So it is a very simple crystal. It is dead flat. It sits above the bezel there with a nice chamfer. It gives a little extra sparkle and a little bit extra pizzazz to it. I think it looks really good. I've got no problems with it. The alignment on the Cyclops there, again, really nicely done. You can see lots of blue AR on the Cyclops, so it keeps the date pretty legible. The date font, it's a little bit light. So yeah, you're going to need that magnification. The crystal itself though, it's good. It's flat. It's sapphire. There is AR coating on it, clear anti-reflective coating. It's not as good as the Chronos, but it is there and it does keep the dial nice and legible. I've got no problems with it. All right, so let's talk about the dial on this thing. And the dial is really nice. It's a glossy black dial, as you can see there. I mean, really nicely done. No problem with it at all. The first thing you'll notice is the Sugess branding on the rehaut. That I think looks pretty cool. It just adds, again, another little aspect to the watch that kind of, gives it a little bit more interest. So the rehaut on this thing, it's right on par with the Seastern Ocean Star and the Sugess Ocean Star. It's really thin, really thin. I'm just going to bring in the Chronos real quick just so you can see them side by side. I don't know if it's really showing up. There's a pretty clear difference there. Probably by a millimeter, maybe a millimeter and a half or so. So yeah, it is nice that they kept that rehaut nice and thin. That just, kind of elevates this watch above the other ones. And I think it looks excellent because of it. Everything else here, nicely done. Applied indices at all the hour markers except 3 o'clock with just a simple date window here. It's not framed or anything like that. It's not chamfered. It's a pretty clean dial in my opinion. Very nicely done. You've got your simple Sugess branding and GMT here in that weird font. I'm really not sure why they chose that font. I think they need to upgrade that font a little bit. It looks a little odd in my opinion. It doesn't really bother me, but I think a different, simpler font would look a little bit better. Even maybe just the Seastern branding. Switch these over to Seastern might be an option. But divers 200 meters. Obviously, this is not an ISO certified, so that's kind of false advertisement. But whatever. And then automatic there. Everything looks really good though. Very happy with the applied indices. Super high quality. Those things are right on par with San Martin and Chronos and all that stuff. Same with the hands, really nicely done, perfect size. I think they look really good. That GMT hand there, it's a really dark blue. I wish they would kind of brighten up that blue a little bit. It does kind of fade and disappear under certain lighting. Under my studio lights, it looks fine. But there's times where you can lose that. So I wish they would just brighten that up just a little bit. Other than that though, I think it looks really good. Again, perfect length on it. yeah, I think it looks good. The watch is using BGW9 Lume, so during the daytime, all the Lume matches perfectly fine, and during night, I'm going to pop up my Lume shot right here, and here you can see it against a couple of the other watches in my collection of this same style, and yeah, it actually holds on pretty good. The hands last really, really good. They're very strong. The dial fades before the hands do, so if you're going to have something fade, I guess I'd rather have the dial fade than the hands, so yeah, I'm overall pretty satisfied with this. It's a lot better than the Ocean Star that I reviewed a little while back. So yeah, I think it is a pretty good Lume. It's just not excellent Lume. It could be a little bit better. The San Martin definitely has the best Lume of this bunch though. All right, so let's talk about the movement in this thing. So the movement is the Dang Dong Peacock 3032 automatic office GMT, which we'll show you in just a second. It's been good for me. I'm going to pop up the time grapher shot right here. And I mean, it's running about -7 seconds a day on wrist and in daily use. I think I've only lost about 3 seconds over the past 4 days. So when I'm actually wearing it, it's a little bit better than that. The beat air, it's a little bit, could be a little bit better than that, but it seems to be a fairly healthy movement. The movement itself, it is a clone of the ETA 2893-2, whatever their GMT clone is. So maybe 2824-2. Either way, it is a 28,800 beats per hour movement, so 8 ticks of the second hand. It hand winds about 40 hours of power reserve. It's kind of on the same realm as the Hangzhou 6460, which I have in my chronos. So it's been running fine. It actually feels a little bit better than that one does. I'm not really sure like what they changed in it, but I prefer to use this movement instead of the Hangzhou 6460. The Hangzhou is not a bad movement. This one it feels a little bit better for some reason. I'm not really sure why. The movement is operated by this 3 o'clock screw down crown here. Again, nice and smooth screw in and screw out action on this thing. So this is one of those spring loaded crowns. So when you're screwing it in, you're not actually winding the movement, and that makes a huge difference. It's just super smooth, just buttery smooth. It feels great. The Chronos is the same exact way. So this first position here is your hand winding, and it feels good. It's kind of got some resistance to it, not quite on the PT5000 level, on par with the Hangzhou. I think it feels good. Second position here is your GMT and your date. So if you roll it backwards here, you can see the GMT hand kind of clicking around. If you roll it forward, that'll change your date. Something I have noticed, the date window, it seems a little, the window itself seems a little high. So like sometimes the bottom edge of the numbers get cut off a little bit. That's really only when I'm changing the date. After I've worn it for a couple days, it kind of fixes itself. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but yeah, that's just something I noticed. You pull the hand, or you pull the crown out to the third position. That does hack the movement, and this is where you set your time. And everything here is peachy. One thing I have noticed, the alignment on this thing is not good. Show you the GMT hand alignment. That's about as bad as you can get, right? I'm not sure what they were thinking there. I could do better on my own. I feel like I'm gonna have to go in there. Maybe I can nudge the hand over. Maybe I have to reset everything, but it is just not good. So it's either there or there. That's, in my opinion, that's unacceptable on a watch in this price range. So a big QC issue there. Yeah, I can't understand how they got it that far off. Other than that, though, everything in this movement is perfectly acceptable, and I have no real concerns with it. It seems to be running fine. It's an ETA clone, so if I need to, I believe I can swap out this for the Hangzhou 6460 or swap it out for the ETA movement itself. But yeah, it's fine. So it's not a traveler's GMT. You can't move just the hour hand. I know some people think that's the case with this watch. It's not. But you know, that's something I'm fine with. I work in the office. I don't travel much, so that worked perfect for me. All right, so let's talk about the bracelet on this thing. And the bracelet is, again, really nicely done. It's 20 millimeters. It tapers down to 16 millimeters at the clasp. So the bracelet is comprised of 3 solid links, solid end links, milled clasp, screw pins for adjusting here. I had to remove 1 link to fit my 7.5-inch wrist. So Yeah, you're going to have some trouble if you're close to 8 inches. I think it might be a little tight on you. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Maybe you can ask them for extra links if you're in that 8-inch range. But the bracelet itself, it's really nice. I mean, very slight wobble here. It feels really solid on wrist. It's very fluid. This bottom edge here is nicely rounded off. It's one of the more comfortable 3-link bracelets that I've had on the channel. I'm really happy with it. The finishing, again, really nice. They got that luster kind of down again on this, on the brushing here. The polishing, really nice. You can see kind of when we really get in close, you can see those kind of little peaks and valleys and stuff, but you don't really notice it on wrist. I have noticed right here on this link here, I'm not really sure what's going on kind of in that transition between the polished and the brushed. Again, I don't notice it on wrist. It's only when I'm looking at it under this light that I see it, but just a little flaw I thought I'd point out to you guys. The end link fitment, really solid. I mean, these things they're nice and tight. The links follow the case curvature just perfectly. You can see they stop short of the end link, so that kind of shortens up the full length of this thing. Yeah, I'm not really sure what to say. These end link fitments are just spot on. Really happy with it. And I have to mention the spring bars in this thing. The spring bars in this thing are the most impressive spring bars I've come across. I thought San Martin used nice spring bars. These are on a whole nother level. Yeah, I mean, they are excellent. They're really nice, big and solid. Yeah, they were awesome spring bars to work with. A little tight to get in the little notches here, but I was able to finally get it out there. And I mean, those spring bars are excellent. Kind of a small thing to talk about, but important in my opinion. It goes to show that they're putting a lot of attention to detail in this thing. And yeah, it shows. This bracelet is very good. The clasp itself, I was told that this is the latest model clasp. I looked on the listing and it says a glide clasp. So I'm not really sure what clasp you're going to get. This one here, it's nice. It has the Sugess branding there, polished in the middle, brushed on the outsides, polished on the outsides here, and everything is done really nice. I'm happy with it. It's kind of got this little lip here that you can get your finger under. Really nice and easy to do. Good solid action on this as well. Nice tight tolerances all inside here. Everything works as it should, and everything is, I mean, it just looks good. You do have a 5mm-ish extension here. This thing works perfect, nice and solid. You can pull it out. It's nice and easy to use and operate. Yeah, it works great. I've got no problems with this clasp. If they do throw this on a glide style clasp, I'm going to link the Sea Stern Ocean Star review up here, and that is where you can check out the gliding style clasp if that's the one they send. I don't think either one is bad. I like that this one is quite a bit smaller. It's shorter, and I think it's maybe a little bit thinner. That other one, it's a pretty big and long clasp, but it's a good clasp. It works excellent. It works really, really good. Very happy with it, and I like the fine adjustment. This one seems to be perfect for me, though. You know, that easy 5mm link there. It works fine. It does exactly what I need it to do. And yeah, I'm happy with the bracelet. I'm happy with the clasp. I like the overall look of it. I do wish they would offer the 5-link they used to for a very short period of time. They used to. Now they don't. But unfortunately, you can't swap between the two apparently. So something to keep in mind. Like I mentioned, though, you can put the Pagani design 5-link on here. So it's just not quite up to the quality of this one. So just keep that in mind. It's a good bracelet, though. I think you're going to like it. So there you go, guys. That is the Sugess GMT watch. I'm really happy with it. I'm happy I ended up with this one. The big competition for this watch, in my opinion, it is the San Martin or the Chronos. And I think you really can't go wrong with any of them. You pick the one that you think is designed better and go with it. I am really, really happy with the Sugess, though. I think it gets, you know, things like the lug width and the crown here, the crown guards, are a little bit smaller on this, so I think it wears a little bit better. I think the rehaut thickness and the rehaut signing, I think, just adds a little bit to this watch. I definitely think the Chronos has slightly better lume, and it does have slightly better anti-reflective coating, but it's just slight advantages to it. A big advantage to the Chronos is that you can now get it on the 5-link bracelet, and this is an excellent 5-link bracelet. This one doesn't quite offer that anymore, so maybe we'll see that in the future. But yeah, I think the you know, side by side, these watches are super close, and I think you're going to be happy with either one of them. I have loved every minute with my Chronos GMT, and you know, I'm going to continue to enjoy it. I don't like the updates that they made to it in, you know, these past years. So I mean, that's just me though. So if you like that, you know, applied logo, and they got rid of that date window there. If you like that, go for it. If you like the red hand on the Batman colorway, go for it. But again, I'm not a fan of it, so I kind of skipped it. So, but yeah, I think you're going to be happy with this watch. It's awesome. Really good bracelet, nice crystal, nice bezel action, super smooth movement. I've been happy with the movement. It's going to be interesting to see how it ages, but yeah, it should be good. Not really sure what else to say, guys. It's a good one. I'm just as impressed with this as I was with the Ocean Star. So yeah, I think that's about it for me. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.